The Galactic Council chamber fell silent as the distress signal echoed through the translation matrix. Ambassador Zixthar of the Velkran hierarchy felt his secondary heart skip a beat. The signal was old, impossibly old, using encryption protocols that hadn't been seen in 20 millennia. "This is impossible," Chief Analyst Mora whispered, her crystalline hands trembling as she processed the data. "The signature matches. It matches the Terrans." A collective gasp rippled through the council. The Terrans. Humanity. A species so ancient they had become legend, their very existence debated by scholars across 100 worlds. The first species to achieve faster-than-light travel, the pioneers who had mapped the galactic core, and then silence. 20,000 years of absolute silence. Most believed they had destroyed themselves in some catastrophic war. Others claimed they had ascended to a higher plane of existence. A few fringe theorists insisted they were still out there watching, waiting. None had expected this. The warship emerged from the void like a specter from history itself. It was massive, 5 kilometers of scarred, battle-worn hull that spoke of conflicts the modern galaxy could barely comprehend. The design was brutally efficient, lacking the elegant curves of Velkran ships or the organic flowing lines of the Zephyr Collective's vessels. This was a ship built for one purpose: war. "Hail them," Council Arbiter Thelzon commanded, his voice steady despite the tremor in his manipulator appendages. The view screen flickered to life, and for the first time in 20,000 years, a human face appeared before the Galactic Council. Captain Sarah Chen looked exactly as the ancient records described her species. Bilateral symmetry, forward-facing eyes, a jaw set with determination that seemed carved from stone. But it was her eyes that held the Council transfixed. They were old eyes that had seen civilizations rise and fall, eyes that had witnessed the birth and death of stars. "Galactic Council," she said, her voice transmitted through the archaic but still functional translation protocols. "This is Captain Sarah Chen of the UESS Indomitable, requesting permission to dock and address the assembly." Thelzon found his voice. "Captain Chen, welcome, but we must ask, where has humanity been for 20,000 years? A ghost of a smile crossed Chen's weathered face. "Fighting," she said simply. "We've been fighting." 3 hours later, Captain Chen stood before the full council, and the story she told chilled them to their cores. 20,000 years ago, humanity had detected them, the Devourers, a race of machines from beyond the galactic rim that consumed entire star systems for fuel. Humanity had done the calculations. The Devourers would reach the populated galaxy in 15,000 years. They would extinguish all organic life. So humanity made a choice. They evacuated their worlds, scattered their people across hidden colonies, and sent their entire war fleet, thousands of ships, into the void beyond the rim. They would buy the galaxy time. Time to grow, time to advance, time to become strong enough to face what was coming. "We held the line," Chen said, her voice steady but haunted. "For 20,000 years we fought them in the dark between galaxies. We lost 99% of our fleet. Entire generations were born, lived, and died aboard warships, never seeing a planet, never knowing peace. But we held the line." She activated a holographic display. It showed a massive fleet, not human ships, but something else. Something vast and terrible burning its way toward the galaxy. "We won," Chen continued. "We destroyed the Devourer's central nexus 3 months ago. But in their death throes, they sent one final fleet. It will reach this sector in 6 months. That's why we're here. We're all that's left, one ship, 300 souls, and we came to warn you." The council erupted into chaos.
6 months?
Impossible. The modern galactic navy would need years to mobilize for a threat of this magnitude. Chen waited for the noise to die down. When she spoke again, her voice cut through the chamber like a blade. "We didn't come here just to warn you," she said. "We came here to teach you how to fight." Over the following weeks, Captain Chen's crew became legends. Her tactical officer, a man who appeared no older than 30 but whose service record spanned 3 centuries thanks to relativistic time dilation, revolutionized the Galactic Navy's combat doctrine in days. Her chief engineer, whose hands had rebuilt plasma conduits in the vacuum of space more times than she could count, showed shipwrights innovations that would take them decades to fully understand. But it was Chen herself who inspired the greatest transformation. She didn't just teach strategy, She taught resilience, adaptability, the sheer stubborn refusal to surrender that had kept humanity fighting in the dark for 200 centuries. When the Devourer fleet arrived, the galaxy was ready. The battle lasted 3 days. Ships were lost, worlds were scarred, but the line held, and at the center of the fleet, broadcasting tactics and encouragement to 1,000 different species, was the Indomitable, a ship that had no right to still be flying, crewed by humans who had no right to still be fighting, refusing to yield one more inch of space to the machines. When the last Devourer ship fell, Captain Sarah Chen sat in her command chair and finally allowed herself to close her eyes. "Mission complete," she whispered. "We can rest now." Ambassador Zixthar stood in the observation deck of the Velcron flagship, watching as the Indomitable was towed toward the capital world. The ancient warship would become a monument, a reminder of what humanity had sacrificed for a galaxy that had forgotten they existed. But humanity itself would never be forgotten again. The galaxy had learned a truth that day, a truth that would be taught to every child on every world. When the darkness came, when extinction loomed and hope seemed lost, it was the humans, the ancient, stubborn, impossible humans, who stood in the void and said, "No further." And the darkness had blinked first.